The state of Kuwait and the Arab and Islamic nations lost one of the most prominent philanthropists with the passing away of Dr. Abulrahman Sumait, who was buried in Slebikhat Cemetery today in the presence of a huge crowd. Al-Sumait is a well-known humanitarian personality in Kuwait and across the world. He spent most of his adult life in poor places across the African continent trying to end the suffering of people in need. More details on the following report with Salim Al-Hajmi.
The state of Kuwait mourned Al-Sumait, who passed away yesterday at the age of 66 after a long journey of charity work and good deeds all over the world, especially in the African continent. His funeral was attended by a large crowd, which reflected the love Al-Sumait spread in Kuwait and across the world. Al-Sumait is an extraordinary figure who dedicated his life to doing good deeds, especially helping poor and orphans in remote and poor towns across the African continent. He spent over 3 decades of his life doing humanitarian work in Africa, participating in providing care for thousands of orphans, the drilling of around 9,500 wells, and the establishment of 860 schools, 4 universities, and 204 Islamic centers. Although his charitable work covered the majority of African countries, Al-Sumait gave special attention to countries which suffer from famine, hunger, and spread of diseases. He remained undeterred by obstacles and undertook a number of trips deep into the African jungles and subjected himself to the dangers and terrors of travel through its remote forests in order to carry out charitable mission. During his life, he founded a number of charitable organizations and was a member in several other organizations. Al-Sumait was awarded a vast number of awards, trophies, and certificates in acknowledgement of his efforts in charity work. Shortly after the announcement of his passing away, the cabinet expressed deepest condolences over the loss of Al-Sumait. Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs and Minister of Health Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Al-Mubarak Al-Sabah said His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jabr Al-Sabah decided to name a street after Al-Sumait's name in appreciation of all his charity and humanitarian work. Many officials who attended Al-Sumait's funeral paid tribute to his extraordinary humanitarian work. Deputy Premier and Minister of Interior Sheikh Mohammed Al-Khalid Al-Hamid Al-Sabah said Al-Sumait was a good man and his death is a loss not only to Kuwait but also to the whole Islamic nation. Meanwhile, Minister of Information and Minister of State for Youth Affairs Sheikh Salman Sabah Salim Al-Hamoud Al-Sabah said Kuwait and the Islamic world will miss Al-Sumait, who devoted his whole life to a noble cause. Sheikh Salman al-Sabah offered his condolences to the political leadership, the Kuwaiti people, and all Muslims around the world on the demise of Al-Sumait, praying to Almighty Allah to bless him with mercy and forgiveness and to rest his soul in peace. Head of the Higher Advisory Committee for Applying Provisions of the Islamic Sharia, Dr. Khalid Al-Madhkoor, said today the country remembers Al-Sumait's great deeds in Kuwait and in the Islamic world, as well as his role in providing care for thousands of people in various African nations. Chairman of Direct Aid Society, Dr. Abulrahman Al-Mhailan, said Al-Sumait laid the main pillars of charity work through the society that helped connecting donors to those who need help within a scientific and sophisticated approach that will last for a long time due to Al-Sumait's dedication and commitment. There is no doubt that Al-Sumait was one of Kuwait's most devoted sons. The large crowd that attended the funeral today and the great care of the political leadership just shows how much Al-Sumait will be missed.